AMD kicked off 2025 with another monster quarter. Revenue hit $7.4 billion, up 36% year-over-year, marking 4 straight quarters of growth. In plain English, tariffs, trade tensions, or any other headwinds couldn't slow this train. Revenue, $7.4 billion, plus 36% YOY. 4th straight quarter of growth, year-over-year gains every quarter since mid-2024. Gross margin, 54%, up from 52% a year ago. EPS, non-GAAP 96 cents, up 55% YOY. Data center, AMD's AI engine roars. AMD's data center business is the real superstar of this quarter. It logged $3.7 billion in revenue, up 57% YOY. That's fueled by customers gobbling up AMD EPYC CPUs and Instinct GPUs for AI and cloud servers. One analyst joked that AMD's data center arm is purring like a championship race car. Lots of horsepower under the hood. In CEO Su's words, expanding AI and data center momentum helped push the numbers sky high, and she predicts strong double-digit expansion ahead. In short, hyperscalers and cloud providers are loading up on AMD chips to build the AI factories of the future, and AMD is happily handing out the blueprints. Weathering the storm, macro, tariffs, and Lisa Su's optimism. It hasn't exactly been sunshine and rainbows in the global economy. China export controls, US, China tariff threats, and regulatory scrutiny, Intel might not love that, have created jitters. Yet AMD more or less shrugged it off. Lisa Su emphasized that, despite the evolving dynamics related to tariffs and the regulatory environment, AMD still saw that hot growth. Picture a surfer riding a monster wave. Even when the market storms roll in, AMD stays balanced on the board. Financially, CFO Jean Hu noted the company grew revenue 36% YOY and gained scale, operating income plus 57%, all while continuing to pump cash into R&D. That R&D and marketing investment is crucial. It's buying future wins, she said. And it's not like AMD is resting. The company expects to ride out this wave of infrastructure spending. In the earnings Q&A, Su was blunt. I think we continue to see strength, as it relates to tariffs and other things. This is one of those areas where, from an infrastructure standpoint, there continues to be investment in AI infrastructure. And with that, we would expect strong growth into the second half of the year. Translation: even if trade talk makes headlines, companies are still building data centers and upgrading servers, and AMD is well positioned to sell into that. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, like the video, it means much to me. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, and comment the word more. Just go ahead and type the word more so I know. Now that you have commented, let's continue. What the street says, Dainley cautions with buys. Wall Street was mixed on AMD's results. Some analysts cheered, but Citigroup's Christopher Dainley took a more cautious view. He reiterated a neutral hold rating on AMD and trimmed his price target to about $100. Dainley pointed to headwinds like thinning data center margins and near-term uncertainty in AI spending as reasons for a wait-and-see stance. In other words, he doesn't expect a blockbuster pop in AMD's stock anytime soon. On the flip side, Cathie Wood, who runs ARK Invest, has been stockpiling AMD. In late April 2025, ARK's funds quietly bought about 119,118 shares of AMD, roughly $11.4 million. For context, that's a hefty bet for Cathie's team. They usually laser focus on big idea, tech plays. The message? Wood's ARK is betting AMD still has long-term juice. If a famously bold investor is piling in, that suggests at least a few smart money eyes see growth under the hood. Some in the market are cautious, the Dainley camp, while others are outright bullish, Cathie's camp. AMD's trajectory now depends on execution, hitting its targets while navigating those lingering uncertainties. Nobody's an island, especially in silicon. For perspective, let's compare AMD to the other chip juggernauts. AMD, Q1 revenue $7.4 billion, plus 36% YOY. Intel, Q1 revenue $12.7 billion, roughly flat YOY. Nvidia, Q1 FY 2025 revenue $26.0 billion, plus 262% YOY. Data center $22.6 billion. AMD's surge looks impressive next to Intel's flat performance. Intel's data center and AI group pulled in $4.1 billion this quarter, up only 8% YOY, compared to AMD's $3.7 billion, up 57%. On the other hand, Nvidia's stratospheric numbers dwarf both. Its latest quarter was $26 billion, with almost all of that from data center chips. In plain terms, Nvidia is the 800-pound AI gorilla right now. Intel is trying to stay in the race, and AMD is sprinting to catch up. So while AMD's growth percentages are sky high, the absolute dollars are still smaller than its giant rivals. Expect Intel comparisons to focus on AMD stealing server CPU share, while Nvidia comparisons underline that AMD has a lot of AI ground to make up. Looking ahead, riding the wave. What's next for AMD? Management is upbeat. The company projects continued double-digit growth for 2025. For Q2 they guided roughly flat sequential revenue, $7.4 billion again, give or take, despite anticipating a $1.5 billion hit from China export controls. In other words, the pipeline, especially AI/data center deals, is expected to keep pouring in. Team Green, AMD's squad, is banking on new products too. The Zen 5 Ryzen CPUs hit client PCs, and the MI350/MI400 GPUs will ramp later in the year. AMD is surfing a massive tech wave. Whether that wave turns tsunami, huge gains, or wipeout, if a storm hits, will depend on execution and the global economy. But for now, it's a heck of a ride. Fueled by EPYC and instinct momentum, good old Ryzen demand, and even a dash of investor pizzazz from Cathie Wood, AMD's Q1 shows the company firing on all cylinders. The punchline? You can keep an eye on analyst charts and tariff headlines, but right now AMD seems to be having the last laugh, carving out gains in data centers while its stock still trades in the low triple digits. That long-term future may have some fog, but AMD's crew looks loaded up with fun tech and strategic fuel to charge ahead. If we fully obey the Lord, the Creator of heaven and earth, and carefully follow all His commandments, He has promised to set us high above all the nations of the earth. Deuteronomy 28. We shall be blessed when we come in and when we go out. I appeal to you to accept God and let Him be your guide, for He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. Want more information? Please check the description section. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful content. Do not miss out on our future videos full of insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about today's video. Wish you God's blessings and care. Faith and prayer will do what no power on earth can accomplish. See you in the next video by God's mercy.